Yes. That's it. That's the whole story. Everything is holy.
We can go home now.
Everything is holy when we're using our spiritual vision. Everything is holy now. That's the moment now that our spiritual vision starts to open up. Now is completely free of all the past hurts and all the future worries. Now is the moment where everything exists. All the love you've been seeking is here now. All the prosperity, all the power, all the healing, it's here right now. It's not something that we attain. It's not something that we have to go out and get. It's something that we are and that we discover. And we can only see that through our spiritual vision. So that's what today is going to be all about, opening that spiritual vision. According to the third principle of unity, everything in the manifest realm has its beginning in thought. It all starts with you, everything. And holding that truth firmly in our minds, it's important to remember that everything that proceeds from spiritual vision is going to be for our highest good. So the first part of the third principle of unity is that you're in charge of your experience. Everything you experience in life has to do with your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs. What's going on within your consciousness? Sometimes it could look like the most horrible situation in the world, but then you see people responding to it in miraculous ways. In love, something kicks in, and it makes you respond from this thing inside you that you didn't even know was there sometimes. That's the holy self, the light being, the Christ self. It wasn't just in Jesus, it's in you. It's in each and every one of us. So anything that proceeds from our spiritual vision will always be for our highest good. And it will always be holy. And it will be impossible to not see miracles everywhere. It will be impossible not to see the miracle of each moment of life. We went for a walk on the beach yesterday. It was really windy. It was the highest tide I've ever seen around here. And it was just a very unusual weather pattern after, the remnants of a hurricane blowing through. And each and every moment was a miracle. Like every little shell. And you see people walking around picking up these shells going, look, it's a miracle. I found a shell. It's like there's billions of them. Right? But no, if that's what you're looking for, a miracle in that shell, then that's what it'll be for you. So you're in charge of your experience. I love it. You're in charge of how you experience the world. And when you're seeing it with your spiritual vision, it's always going to be for your highest good and everyone around you. Especially if you have a family, you want to employ this principle. Because families are actually put in your life to push you towards this principle, to help you to become the most compassionate, loving, giving, strong person that you can be. And you think it's going to be someone else. It's not. You're the one that's going to be the example in your particular group of people. And I love that. It's always you. Can't count on somebody else doing it if you're not doing it. If you're not forgiving, you can't wait for the other person to forgive. If you're not giving, you can't wait for everyone else to give. But when I start giving, that's when I realize the universe is pouring out blessings to me. That's the most amazing part, is that whenever I feel like I'm in some kind of lack, some kind of poverty, some kind of ill health, I start giving more and more. And what happens? Something miraculous happens. The whole universe starts giving to me. It's just amazing how that works. And it doesn't matter how little you think you have. When you start giving from the idea that you have something to give to the world, it does something to you. It turns on the switch of why you're really here. You're not just living life blowing in the wind. That was a Bob Dylan song, right? But you're not living life by, the capriciousness of the ego. You're living by the certainty of the Spirit. So developing our spiritual vision is also going to give us security. For we will always know that what comes to us from this vision is from Spirit. It's always going to be used to bless, to heal, to prosper, to raise the consciousness of everyone in the world. So there's immeasurable benefit when we make the choice to open our minds to spiritual vision. I've been carrying this little book around because it's The Revealing Word, Charles Fillmore. And he says, vision that is spiritual is seeing God as the foundation of all, the source of all, and the substance of all. Seeing the good, the true, and the beautiful everywhere. That's what that song was all about. Seeing the good and the beautiful and the true everywhere. In this manner is the eye of spiritual vision perfected. In this manner, it's the single eye that is activated and perfected. Matthew 6:22. You guys remember that. If your eye be single, your whole body will be full of light. Oh my goodness, it has to do with the body too? Yes, because you are a demonstration cellularly of the perfection of the universe, of the light of God. If God is all the substance there is, if my eye is single, then my whole body is going to be representing light. I am light. We sang that last week. Or that was a great, great rendition of that song. And I remembered it all week. Whenever something came up, I would say, I am light. I am light. It's just amazing to now identify yourself with light, with God's substance, rather than with a limited ego, a hurt body, a limitation of any kind. The body will be light because the body's not static. It's a product of our mind. And I'll get into this when we talk about healing. But the body always proceeds from the mind, which within alignment with the Spirit will always represent light. That's all I want you to remember with that. But you're only going to see it when your spiritual vision is activated and you remain guided by wisdom. I love it. What do you have to do? This is in the Daily Word we just heard. I have to reach beyond human reasoning to the limitless wisdom of divine mind. That's what I'm doing. You want to reason your way out of spiritual lifestyle, out of spiritual practice, out of all these teachings. You're going to say, well, that's crazy. I've tried that. It doesn't work. Well, you really didn't do it. Trying isn't actually doing it. You were attempting to understand it from limited understanding. What we're doing here is reaching beyond human reasoning. Isn't that nice? I'm reaching with my energy beyond the chatter in my mind. And where do I end up? The limitless wisdom of divine mind. That's where I want you guys to live because it's so secure and safe and certain. And you know each and every moment who you are, where you are, what's guiding you. You're always so peaceful in that place. Nothing can really come to interrupt your peace there because you've reached beyond the limitations of human reasoning. And you've reached the limitlessness of divine wisdom, divine mind. And that wisdom is going to guide you each and every moment. So this is why our greatest need is spiritual vision. Course in Miracles has a lesson. It says, above all else, I want to see. Above all else, I want to see with spiritual vision. Recognizing what I see reflects what I think I am, I realize that vision is my greatest need. Because it's all going to come down to how you see yourself in relationship to the universe. How do you see yourself in relationship to others? Relationship to what you call God? How do you see yourself? What is your part in the universe? Oh my, your vision's already opening up. I can feel it. Just asking yourself that question, something happens. So above all else, I want to see. I want to see with spiritual vision. Vision will take the place of limited perception that comes from human reasoning and allow us to perceive with the Holy Spirit, or what we've come to know as the mind of Christ, the vision of Christ. But I have to let go of how I've been trying to do it. I have to let go of the limited human reasoning that comes from the ego in order to accept the vision of Christ. This is not the perceptual judgments of what I think. Now, what I think might have been the thought process of Jesus has nothing to do with it. This is not all, but I will say a majority of religious thought has been, because I've studied lots and lots and lots of theology and Bible history and a lot of this kind of thing for years and years. And it was all very valuable to me when I came into a metaphysical perspective. If you're thinking about what was Jesus thinking back then, you're missing that you are the actual demonstration. It's about the demonstration of the Christ mind in us. Oh, that's a nice photo too. That's a demonstration of the Christ mind. Right there. That person doesn't need any churches or any organizations or any movements or any religions fashioned after her. She doesn't need anybody to worship her. She doesn't need anybody to figure out what she's thinking and try to put that into some kind of doctrine. She's just a demonstration of the Christ mind. And you can be too, anytime you choose. Isn't that great? Anytime I choose, I can do it the same. I love it. You want to know how easy it is? We asked in our prayer, in the office, we pray in before the service. And Debbie was with us this morning. And we says, Debbie, you're going to be in the Christmas choir this year? She says, I am in the Christmas choir. Wow, we haven't even formed it yet. That's how easy it is. Don't wait for something, dramatic to happen. I am living in the Christ mind. The Christ mind is my mind right now. I am determined to see right now, above all else. I'm determined to see things differently. I'm determined to see with spiritual vision. Don't wait for the sign-up sheet to come around. I am in the choir. I'm an alto in the choir of life. I love it. So just tell the universe, whatever you are, I'm an alto, I'm a tenor. Put me in, I'm ready. I'm ready to go in. I'm in the game. I am the Christ. I'm the living Christ. I am the spiritual being in which I was born to be. So as we had the scripture last week, as we let the mind be in us, which was also in Christ Jesus, we begin to think in a completely different manner. He didn't think it was robbery to be equal with God, and neither should you. Neither should you. Because everything created has the same substance. Everything in the manifest realm has its beginning in God thought, in pure substance, divine mind. So I put together some simple steps for me in how I open my spiritual vision, and I want to share them with you. And maybe you can make this a practice for yourself. There's only 4 really simple steps. Action steps for opening your spiritual vision. The first one is so simple. Listen to God. Listening to Spirit. Meditation. Silence. Spend some time in the silence. I know in the beginning, when I try to do this in the morning, especially after a couple of cups of coffee, my mind is chattering away at all the things that I need to do. I need to get up and get moving and go on with my day. But I'll sit there and allow all that energy to shift to light. Doesn't matter how many cups of coffee I've had, those thoughts do calm down and they finally are quiet. It doesn't matter where you find yourself. Your intention to listen to Spirit, to just sit and listen to God, is going to bring about an experience. And so it just takes doing it. Takes some time to do it. We begin listening deeply to the vibrational impressions of Spirit instead of the words that are going on in our head, the constant babbling of the ego. We're listening to vibrational impressions within our consciousness. Some have called this following your heart, or letting intuition be your guide, or letting go and letting God. But really it's deep. It's getting deeply into the flow of the universe. Literally feeling your own vibrational frequency and allowing it to come into alignment with the peace of God, the flow of the universe, stepping back into it. We become more involved as we become more highly evolved. The more spiritual evolution takes place, the more involved you get in everything, because you know you're connected, you're at one with everything. It's a proven formula, and I'm going to tell you right now, keep it in your mind, high involvement, but low attachment. That's going to keep you in peace. Because you know that you're doing what's yours to do, but you're not so attached to the results. Your concern falls away of what the results are, because you're certain it will always be for the highest good of you and everyone else. You're certain of that. So stop trying to micromanage the universe. It's very important. We want to tell the Spirit, God, what we need, what we want, what should happen. Why don't you just let it be perfect? It's all unfolding perfectly. The universe is unfolding as planned. The perfection of your evolution. So the more highly evolved you are, the more involved you will be. And remember, when you're in high involvement, the way to peace is low attachment. Don't be attached to the results. And that is going to bring you to seeing with the eyes of Christ. That's my next step, is this: go out and look for the good in every situation, every condition of life. Look for the good. Look at the bigger picture. Look for the cure rather than the curse. In challenging situations, you might ask yourself, what has this come to teach me? I always ask that question to anybody who comes for pastoral counseling. What has this come to teach you? Why have you called this lesson into your life? And you know what? As soon as the lesson is learned, usually the condition disappears. Even if it's a very dramatic condition, including things like cancer or lung disease or heart disease or all these other kinds of things that seem to affect the body, when you learn the lesson, a lot of times it just disappears. If not, the lesson continues. But you're not devastated by it any longer, because Instead, you're seeing the bigger picture. You're learning from it. You're seeing the good that's coming out of every situation. And that is seeing with the eyes of Christ. You're seeing the good in everything. And you're practicing. You're practicing this. You're looking for the light in people, and you're treating them as if that's all you see. I love that. If somebody will come up to me and say, don't you know about this person? No, I don't know anything. And I don't want to know. All I want to see is the light. That's what I'm looking for. And you might even want to show me some other sides of the angry side or the sad or the sickness or whatever. But that's not what I'm looking for. I'll sit with you while you're attempting to demonstrate those things. But then we'll always come back to the truth. That you are the light of God. That you are the light of the world. And that's seeing with the eyes of Christ. And you know what? Your neighbors really want and need that. So when you give that to them, you're giving it to yourself. The next one is this. Question your thoughts. You're thinking something right now. Remember to question your thoughts. Remember this one thing. Don't believe everything you think. Don't believe what's going on in there. Not everything. You test it. Put it to the test. Is it of God? Is it of good? Those two can be synonymous. Does it speak of love? Does it make me feel good to think this? Let it pass through those 3 gates. Is it true? Is it necessary? And is it kind? Otherwise, I don't need to be telling myself that story or anybody else. Let it pass through those gates. Question your thoughts. Does this thought, does this word, does this action support my spiritual vision? Does it support the highest good of me and everyone around me? And when you can say yes, more times than not, then what you're doing is practicing the presence. That's the 4th step. These other things you can do all in your own mind. But the next thing you do is take it out into the world. Put it on like a brand new dress and walk it around town. Practice the presence of God. Practice. Just do it. Just be it. That's why you're here. It doesn't matter what your career looks like. It doesn't matter what your family situation or your relationships or your socio-economic situation. It doesn't matter. Everyone is here to practice the presence, to be the presence of God. Thank you. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you're doing, what it looks like, what your career looks like. All those judgments go out the window. I am here. I've been put in this situation to practice the presence of God. And if you think it's easier doing it as a minister than what you're doing, then you're mistaken. I might venture to say perhaps it might be a little easier because you're not letting anybody know what you're doing. You're like the Jedi master. You're just practicing the presence. You don't have to tell everybody about it. I'm all over the internet. This is what I'm doing. I'm practicing the presence. Well, I saw you in traffic the other day. You wouldn't. What about the 100th time they left the gate open out back? Were you practicing the presence? And I can say more often than not, yes. And there are times that I slip and I go, oh, let's get back to it. Let's practice. Then I got to go back and do the other steps. Sit down and listen to God. Go back and start at the beginning. We had a really nice exercise during our 21 days of prosperity. There was no complaining for 21 days. Now the thing is, yeah, try it. It's great. No complaining. Not one. Now, this is the thing. You make it one day, you make it 2, you might even make it 3 or 4. But that first complaint, you got to go start all over again. Day 1. Until you make it 21 days. I love it. I love it. It brings you back to the beginning. I got to stop and listen to God. And I have to be humble. I have to say, oh man, I'm sorry. I have to forgive. I have to ask for forgiveness. I'm sorry. What's the Ho'oponopono? Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. How easy is that? And it works. Why does it work? Because people are doing it. And it's so basic. It's so fundamental. It creates a humility within you, but then it immediately gives you your power to love. Yeah, I'm sorry. Forgive me. And thank you. And I love you. That's when everybody runs away. Oh, you got to love them. Yes, you do. You don't have to take them out to dinner, but you got to love them. You have to forgive them. It's very important. So when you start doing this, when you start practicing the presence, it's living from God consciousness to the best of your ability each and every day, every moment of every day, using our spiritual vision instead of attempting to see through the eyes of judgment. So at this point, I might be able to say that God is in everything I see. It's a practice, but it's important to practice the everything part. As one spiritual teacher said, you'll see God in all or you won't see God at all. Practice seeing God in everything. And you know why you can do it? You can see God in everything because God is in your mind. This is the Course in Miracles. This is the practice that I've been doing for 30 years now. So it's important to remember there's a process to this. And the process is the fun part. Seeing God in everything. I get to practice that. I get to practice the presence. I get to practice finding where God is in my mind. God is in everything I see. I'm starting to see with the vision of Christ, spiritual vision, because it was always there. It was always there. And so this is where we can see heaven on earth. If God is in everything I see, heaven will be on earth. The Lord's Prayer, right? It becomes a truth. It becomes a truth that heaven is on earth. And heaven on earth is available right now. Right now. It's not a future event, but a present reality. And this is only available when you're seeing through your spiritual vision. Now, a wonderful energy happened when I put up this slide. Heaven is here now. Everyone felt it to some degree. Maybe a lot, because you've been practicing. And maybe just a faint memory that, yes, heaven is right now, right here, right where I am. It's a present reality. It's not a future event. It's not a place that I'm going. It's not a condition. It's not a situation. It's an awareness of perfect oneness, according to A Course in Miracles. Heaven is an awareness of our perfect oneness, right here and right now. And the thing that will bring you to that awareness is opening your spiritual vision. So be blessed, my friends. Remember to be a blessing. I love you.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass., and visit us online at unityoncapecod.org. This video was made possible in part through a grant from Unity Worldwide Ministries and the Templeton Foundation.